She's sold over 17 million books. She releases at least 3 books a year. No press tours, no book signings. Rarely has sightings. Just a Facebook fan group she occasionally pops into. A fake name, a constant wig disguise. Who is Freida McFadden? Her hospital boss doesn't know. Her co-workers might possibly be catching on now. And the book club she's been in for years? Only just figured it out, after some very wrong guesses. By day, she's a brain injury doctor. By night, and between surgeries, school drop-offs, and quiet moments she carves out of thin air, she slips on a wig and oval glasses. And becomes Freida McFadden. BookTok made her famous.
Let's talk Freida McFadden. Death Row on Amazon? Woo! Had me completely blown, you guys.
Freida has done it again. It's been a minute since I've read a Freida book, but y'all already know how much of a diehard Freida fan I am.
3 of her books, and I'm listening to one on audio right now.
Her favorite book is a Freida McFadden book.
Yes, The Teacher.
If you are a mystery thriller girly, you absolutely positively need to read The Teacher by Freida McFadden.
I've just finished the entire Housemaid series by Freida McFadden. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I was hooked.
But now it's questioning her, and the tides are sharply beginning to shift. Is she a genius or a fraud? Is her story inspiring or suspicious? This is the internet's favorite psychological thriller author, and the social media storm she never saw coming. Chapter 1: The Rise of a Ghost Author. She had no agent, no publisher, no author photo at first. Just a quiet upload from a doctor with a pen name and a brain full of twists, and somehow, it worked. In 2016, Freida McFadden uploaded a psychological thriller to Amazon Self-Publishing. No real expectations, no marketing budget. Just a woman dropping a little thriller novel after her long weeks with patients. Figuring she might as well have a little fun with her passion for storytelling and a fake name. It didn't go viral overnight. But little by little, reviews trickled in and word of mouth began to spread. Readers were saying her books were addictive, impossible to put down, and filled with jaw-dropping twists. Her following began to build.
I'm only halfway through this book, and it's actually so insane. And if I didn't have to fall asleep last night, I for sure would have finished it in one sitting.
I just finished The Teacher by Freida McFadden, and I am gagged right now. I literally don't have words for this book.
This is me before the last 100 pages of The Teacher by Freida McFadden. Go! Please go. Get out of here. Huh? Uh-huh. My thought exactly.
She quietly released early titles like The Locked Door, The Perfect Son, and Do Not Disturb, each gaining more momentum as readers binge-read their way through her catalog. Once The Housemaid hit in 2022, everything changed. This one went viral. It sold over 2 million copies and stayed on the New York Times bestseller list for over 60 weeks. Readers devoured it and demanded more.
I've read 9 Freida McFadden books.
I've read 16 Freida McFadden books.
I've read 17 Freida McFadden books.
I have read over 20 Freida McFadden books.
Have y'all been gatekeeping thriller, or am I just late to the train? Because this book, if y'all have been gatekeeping, we don't gatekeep. Oh my gosh, the plot twist.
TikTok exploded with theories, obsessions, and overnight binge reads. And the question kept growing. Who is Freida McFadden? She wasn't on TV. She wasn't doing interviews. She was completely missing. And that only made the obsession grow.
Freida McFadden makes me lose my mind every single time I read her books. I feel legitimately crazy.
Now, this is an author who popped onto the thriller scene just a few years ago and has really cemented her place in BookTok lore. With an extensive backlist and fast pacing, her books tend to attract readers looking for escapism and easy-to-read storylines. But who is Freida McFadden?
In early 2022, a private Facebook fan group began to form. First with dozens, then thousands of readers trading theories, spoilers, and casting dreams. The group was named Freida McFadden's McFans, and they wanted to connect to this mysterious new author. While the world devoured her thrillers, Freida was in Boston hospitals treating patients with traumatic brain injuries. Her coworkers were clueless. Her patients had no idea. Thanks to the wig, the glasses, and a pen name, Freida McFadden, on every book cover, her two worlds had yet to collide.
Actually, Freida McFadden is a pen name, so it's completely fake. That's not her real name. She doesn't want to reveal like her true identity. So she's actually like living kind of a double life. She's a practicing physician and she continues to this day to, be a doctor, and she has patients. So she worries that her patients might feel weird about being treated by a best-selling thriller writer.
She once said she picked the name because it sounded like someone who could blend in, not stand out. A name no one would Google. Until suddenly everyone started to...
I decided to Google her, right? Freida McFadden, born May 1st, 1980, is the pen name of an American thriller author and practicing physician specializing in brain injury.
I was Googling her randomly because I was telling one of my friends, like, yeah, Freida McFadden always got that wig on. She was like, girl, that ain't no wig. And I was like, girl, that's a wig.
Even the book club she sat with weekly didn't know she was selling millions. She designed her life into two completely separate identities. To this day, her real name remains a mystery, even after millions of copies sold. And after years of silence, the jig was up to some of those closest to her, and she allowed them to start guessing what her pen name might be. Her book club guessed she was someone else entirely. Maybe Rebecca Yarros? Maybe the author of The Silent Patient? They guessed. Her name, her hair, her entire identity belonged to someone else. In a 2025 Facebook post, Freida shared a candid story about being discovered by previous doctors and coworkers.
I just had the wildest phone call. I was contacted today by a former coworker of mine. Let's call him Rich. Rich is an extremely well-respected brain injury specialist and all around a great guy. Anyway, he sent me a text message today asking if we could chat on the phone, but didn't say why. I hadn't spoken to Rich in nearly 3 years, so it was a bit of an odd request, and I was intrigued. I knew he was close to retirement, so I thought he might want me to take on some work, which I intended to politely decline. I also thought there was a reasonable chance a scammer had gotten his phone number and was going to hit me up to buy him some gift cards. About an hour later, we got on the phone, and the first thing Rich said was, "So, I hear you're a best-selling author." The story came out. Rich, being a well-known brain injury doc in Boston, had been asked by a few people if he knew who I was at the time that the NYT article came out. He didn't read the article, but when they said Freida McFadden, he scratched his head and said, "No, not familiar." How strange. Then later, when the Boston Globe article came out, he was again asked by people if he knew me. But this time, he actually looked at the article, and when he saw the photo, he said, "Oh my God." Rich assumed that everyone at the hospital knew, and he was the last to get clued in. So he proceeded to go around to every single one of my former colleagues, including my former boss, asking if they knew I was an author. None of them knew. But of course, now they do. Rich apologized to me for having literally told everyone what he later realized was probably a secret. I laughed and said it was okay because I was really just trying to keep it quiet while I was still working full-time, which I am no longer doing. The articles just play up the secrecy thing because it's an interesting headline. That said, nobody at my current job knows. I'm glad because it would be challenging to work in a medical setting with people who know about all this. Fingers crossed, nobody will look at the photos in the articles. Shh. People think it's strange my patients don't recognize me, but I promise nobody knows what authors look like, especially people who are hospitalized and that's the last thing on their mind. Plus, I wear a mask almost 100% of the time at work.
Whoever was behind Freida's writing, she was obviously a talented powerhouse with a great ability to keep a secret. A woman raised in Manhattan, educated at Harvard, a physician, a mom, a wife, and somehow also a literary phenomenon. She writes everywhere. In her head, on her phone, even while holding her sleeping child in those beginning days. When she's in author mode, she puts on a wig and glasses. It's not a disguise, it's a boundary. "I just want to focus on being a doctor when I'm with patients," she said.
Like if I'm seeing a patient, they're thinking, is she gonna put this in her book? And and I wouldn't wanna betray anyone's confidence in any way or
Sure.
any connection whatsoever.
She's also mentioned that writing was her creative outlet and mental escape, and that keeping her identity private allowed her to enjoy the freedom of writing without pressure or performance. For years, no one connected the dots, but social media was about to do it for her. BookTok had made her famous.
I've tried and tried a million times.
Oh, I read it in a single day. Did I enjoy it? Absolutely. Do I recommend it? I'm still not sure. This was my first ever Freida McFadden book, and honestly, I loved her writing style.
Okay, I'm just gonna get one, all right? It's just one, all right? How bad could one be? It's not that expensive. It's not, well, I mean, I have to get it a friend, right? I mean, who's he gonna talk to? He's gonna get bored. And you know, what if they get sick of each other? You know, they need a third guy. And honestly, I have 3. I might as well get the whole set, you know? I mean, like, why not?
But soon the praise turned into paranoia. At first, fans were in awe. Her books were fast-paced escapes. But how could anyone with a full-time job, one as important as being a doctor to people with brain injuries, publish 15 books in 4 years? Was she a machine, a genius, or something else entirely? Then came the accusations. Reddit threads questioned her originality. TikTokers compared The Housemaid to The Last Mrs. Parrish. Some said her writing felt AI-generated.
The rate at which Freida McFadden is dropping these thriller novels is insane. Do you think authors are now using AI and ChatGPT to write these? Because tell me, as someone who is a brain doctor, how does she have time to also be banging out novels like this?
Do you think AI is used in the generation of Freida McFadden novels? And if so, does it matter? Yesterday I posted a video about this kind of half joking, half serious, but let's talk about the half serious part of it. I've heard from confirmed, reliable sources that this was all the talk at a big book conference last week, how a combination of AI and ghostwriters are used to generate so many Freida McFadden books. Now, there's nothing like illegal or wrong that they're doing about it. If that's happening, I can't say with 100% certainty.
The tone shifted. What started as obsession turned into suspicion. She was called a brand, not a person. Others claimed no one could write that fast without help. And suddenly, Freida McFadden became a target. In an age of internet sleuths and cancel culture, silence doesn't protect you. It paints a target on your back. Freida's invisibility made her the perfect blank canvas. People built theories on top of rumors. Was she using ghostwriters? AI? Was she actually John Mars in disguise?
Does Freida use AI to write her books? We might get banned for this.
We might get banned from this, and Freida, we still love you, obviously.
Oh, we will never stop reading your books.
Oh, there's a couple questions here. How are you turning them out so fast? Probably under contract with Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah, they're backlogged.
They're backlogged.
Like, these have been written.
And that's very possible, too. You put in a prompt, and it spits out names for you to go off of. Like, surely do it all
sure
their
they
own.
have a team. Some people have to have a team, right?
Right.
Or a ghost, right?
She became a character in her own thriller. Except this one was written by the internet. Comment sections exploded. She's too fast. No one works a real job and writes like that. She copied that plot twist.
I have come to the disappointing and shocking realization that Freida McFadden may be plagiarizing her books. I first noticed it with The Housemaid and these 3 books. However, since there's so many similar storylines in books like this, I didn't think too far into it, even though I've seen these comments on TikTok. I love Freida McFadden. She got me out of the worst reading slump ever, so if this is true, I'm devastated.
The more she stayed silent, the faster the story spiraled. So in May 2025, Freida started to be more open online about these rumors and posted in her Facebook group.
You guys, some of the rumors I've been seeing about myself lately are wild. It's so surreal to see stuff about yourself posted online that is totally untrue stated as fact. I shouldn't be surprised because, you know, the internet, but still. I think my favorite is when people say something like, Freida confirmed in an interview that she only writes books while hanging upside down in titanium gravity boots. I absolutely did not confirm that in an interview, I promise. I only use my gravity boots when I'm cooking. What people seem to struggle with is that I'm publishing 3 books per year, which seems like a superhuman number. Never mind the fact that there are tons of indie authors who publish way more books than that. In fact, in the indie world, the mantra is that you must publish a book at least every 3 months to stay relevant to the Amazon algorithm. So this spawns rumors that the publishers to retailers are pushing me hard to write more books than any human can possibly write. So I'm using AI, or ghostwriters, to do it. What's funny is, it's the exact opposite. Retailers have complained that I'm publishing too frequently and wish I'd slow down. They're basically just indulging me. Here's the thing. Imagine a hobby of yours that you really love doing, like baking cookies, taking a cue from the Tenant. Baking cookies relaxes you, and it's something you've been doing all your life and really love. And then people start buying your cookies, and it gets to the point where you can quit your day job, which you actually liked, and had no intention of ever quitting, just to bake cookies all the time. But then someone says, "Hey, you're baking too many cookies." So even though you love baking cookies and quit your job to do it more, now you're only allowed to do this thing you really love once a month. And even that pace makes people claim that you're hiring someone to make the cookies for you. Why would you hire someone to do your hobby for you when you barely even get to do it anymore? Anyway, writing 3 books per year is easy. Publishing 3 books per year is hard, especially when every book receives so much attention, which is why I might cut back in the future. I don't know how to reconcile these two things. Maybe this is why Stephen King started writing as Richard Bachman. Or maybe he used AI to write the Bachman books. I think he said that once in an interview. The other thing I hear a lot is that I should slow down so my books will be better. That is a total misunderstanding of what goes into creating a good book. I know a lot of people didn't love The Crash, but I promise, if I had spent another 10 years working on that book, you wouldn't have loved it any better. It probably would have gotten worse, to be honest. And the word tuna was never leaving that book. Nobody was ever going to suggest that. If anything, there would have been a new character added named Salmon. Often a book simply is what it is. Editing can improve it, but it's not going to turn a book you hate into a book you love. There are plenty of authors who publish only 1 book per year or every other year, and they're still not all amazing, are they? And if someone had asked me a year ago, which book would have done better on social media, The Crash or The Tenant, I would have said, The Crash. The books I think are the best sometimes tank. Anyway, I just had to say all this because I woke up early and couldn't fall back asleep, even after hanging off the tree in my backyard in my gravity boots and howling at the moon.
Freida was doing her best not to hide from the comments. And fans were loving it. But behind the theories, there's a real woman. And in a rare 2025 interview with the New York Times, she told us her truth. Freida McFadden isn't a ghost team or an AI experiment. She's a working mom, a part-time doctor, and someone who writes compulsively, because she has to. She outlines plots in her head while commuting, drafts chapters on her phone between patients, edits while her kids sleep. Her daughter inspires her characters. Her job informs the psychology.
You try to publish 3 books a year. So what is your writing process like? I mean, that's a lot to write 3 books in a year. What is your writing process?
A lot of planning happens in my head. Like when I'm especially I like to take long walks around my town, and I'm always thinking like what's going to happen in the plot, or like when I'm lying in bed when I should be trying to sleep, I'm plotting it out. Shower, big place for plotting for me. So I'm always thinking about it for like months before.
And no, she's never used a ghostwriter. She writes books she would want to read. It's that simple. That real. The wig? It's just a way to draw a line between 2 lives. Writing is oxygen. And the secrecy? It wasn't a deception. It was survival. The rumors were louder than the truth until she spoke up. Freida McFadden didn't cheat the system. She outworked it. She didn't chase fame. Fame came crashing into her double life. In her Facebook group, Freida posted how surreal it is to watch internet lies spread like truth. But she's not surprised. This is the internet, after all. Her readers? They're definitely still here and continue to grow. The love? Even louder. Fans proudly show off their complete Freida collections, in every color too, and how quickly they tore through them.
Loved it. Reading it, loving it. Read it, loved it. Read it, loved it.
Y'all, I cannot. I started this book last night. I stayed up way too late. I think I stayed up until like 1:30 in the morning reading it. So I was like 2/3 of the way done. And I just finished it, and the amount of freaking twists and turns. Freida McFadden knows how to write a freaking book.
They started buying Marilyn Thornhill Funko Pop toys online and putting their own twist on the bookish figurine with glasses to look like their own version of Freida McFadden, adding their own unique accessories. And BookTok? Well, some have quit her, calling her predictable and formulaic.
Okay, I officially need to break up with Freida McFadden. I've tried. I have really tried. I've read like 5 of her thrillers hoping they'd hit, and every single one is giving creepy house, woman ignoring glaring red flags, therapist or shady husband. And then the twists hit, and I'm like, that's it. The vibe, meh. The delivery, copy-paste. Like, girl, I want to be scared, not mildly confused and disappointed. Anyway, I'm off the Freida train.
I'm actually so disappointed to even say this. The Tenant by Freida McFadden, 3 stars, if that, because what? I guessed the plot twist in maybe 15-20% into the book.
But what does formulaic really mean in a genre built on tropes and twists? Maybe readers are just desensitized, burned out on thrillers, craving the next shock that nothing quite delivers. Even some of her critics admitted there was something addictive about her pacing, her endings, her ability to keep readers turning pages until 3 a.m.
Why y'all having me read this, bruh? So I can not go to my therapy session? She's a therapist, bruh. I'm on chapter 8, and it is 3:15 in the morning.
I feel like I might be a little bit late to the party on this one, but I just read this book. I picked it up this weekend. I read it all in one sitting. I stayed up until 1 a.m. to finish the book, which I don't think I've done since I was a teenager, but it was just so good. So good.
True fans wait patiently for her signed copies, or scour the internet to find the original version of Dead Med to complete their collections. They're excitedly having small conversations and connections with their favorite author in her Facebook group each week. Whether you're over her formula or still tracking down every last edition, Freida McFadden remains a name readers can't ignore. As if writing bestsellers and living a double life weren't enough, Freida's stories are now leaping off the page. Her breakout thriller, The Housemaid, was snapped up by Lionsgate and Hidden Pictures. And director Paul Feig is bringing it to life for a December 25th, 2025 release, starring Sydney Sweeney as Millie and Amanda Seyfried as Nina, with Brandon Sklenar and Michelle Marone rounding out the cast. At SXSW, Feig praised its surprising tone and faithful adaptation, and fans are already buzzing, calling the casting perfect for the eerie world Freida created. But that's not all. The Tenant just hit shelves May 6th, 2025, and became her 2025 bestseller, which is also on the big screen radar, with a movie adaptation announced. Meanwhile, Freida's keeping readers excited on the page too. Her next novel, The Intruder, is set to drop October 7th, 2025. And she recently surprised readers with another announcement that she is releasing Dear Debbie in January 2026. Readers joked she writes books faster than they can fold their laundry. So as her world expands, from Boston hospitals to bestseller lists, from secret pen name to Hollywood spotlight, Freida McFadden's story is only beginning to unfold. We love a plot twist. And Freida McFadden gave us one of the best. Not just in her books, but in her real life. No book tours, minimal interviews, and the writing? Still all hers. She built a best-selling empire in secret, while raising a family, while saving lives, while wearing a wig, just to write in peace. Turns out the biggest twist wasn't in her books. It was Freida herself. If you love this video, check out our author stories on the rise and fall of Colleen Hoover or J.K. Rowling next.